Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm a Central Texas gardener in Zone 8B, and in today's garden tour, I wanted to share the theme of water, and more specifically, with our heavier than average rainfalls, what that has meant for my plants. I wanted to share what's going great, what's not going great, and what I've put on autopilot. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is a Catawba crepe myrtle, and it's a semi-dwarf variety of crepe myrtle that tops out at about 15 feet. These crepe myrtles are very drought tolerant plants. That's why you see them a lot in Texas landscapes, but they've got a couple of issues I wanted to talk to you about. Number one is they tend to have a problem with aphids, and then aphids excrete something called honeydew, and you can see it on some of the plants here. It's like a sticky substance. And it can get very messy depending on how bad your aphid infestation is. And so if you're going to use a crepe myrtle, you want to make sure you put it somewhere that you don't necessarily have to park your car underneath, because that can get a little bit frustrating. The other issue is, and I don't know, it may not be an issue, but they're very persistent plants, meaning if you don't want the crepe myrtle and you cut it down to the stump, it's going to keep throwing up these suckers here, and so it won't die. So you have to get a little drastic if you're not happy with your crepe myrtle. So one really great Texas native alternative would be a Texas persimmon. This is a tree that gets about 15 feet in height as well, and it has very similar gray silvery bark, and it fruits as well. It flowers and fruits. But it is dioecious, meaning that you need both male and female trees really to produce reliable fruit. But that's something to consider. So I wanted to talk about a couple of problem areas I've got here. This is a hybrid salvia that was pretty well established, very drought tolerant plant, but you can see it's pretty much dead. I mean, I've got a little growth here, but I don't think it's going to really be enough to support the plant. But I think this succumbed to root rot. And why I say that is because we've had lots of heavy rain this spring, and I have clay soil. And so a lot of our drought tolerant natives, they tend to struggle with the excess moisture, especially if you don't have good draining soil. And so I have ways that I've started to really amend that to keep that from happening, but it still occurs. How this plant started dying back was once the rain stopped. It started drying up, and then I noticed stem by stem the plant was slowly dying, and I almost have a very similar situation here. This is a black-eyed Susan or Rudbeckia, and you can see I've got a dead stem here, but I've got a couple of kind of wilting stems here. And so I don't know if this plant is going to suffer a similar fate. It was also very well established, so I'm just I'll probably prune that out and keep my eye on it. But I've noticed that I've lost a few plants with our heavy rains. Underneath the crepe myrtle, this is pink skullcap. And this is not native to Texas, but well adapted to our area. And it's pretty similar to our Wright's skullcap, which is our Texas native. Very drought tolerant plant. It can remain green for you throughout the winter. And but also, like a lot of our Texas natives, they can be kind of brittle. So if you've got them like close to a walkway, sometimes you can accidentally break these branches off pretty easily. So something to consider about this plant. Here I've got dwarf yopon hollies, and I don't really feel like I give these guys a lot of view time on my videos, but they're really a workhorse in my garden. I mean, these are evergreen. They stay about 4 by 4 feet in height and spread, and they've taken drought with no problem. They've taken this heavy rain with no problem. If my dwarf yopon hollies look a little mangled up here, it's because we recently had a roof replaced and a lot of the material fell on them, and so I had a lot of broken branches here. But I'm going to tell you, this is a really good anchor plant, and it is a Texas native. Here is my Zexmenia, and I have a lot of these in my backyard if you've watched previous videos, and that's because they are just, to me, they're just very showy plants, and ecologically there's always bees and small birds eating the seeds from them, and they readily reseed themselves. And so this will get about 2.5 feet by 3 feet in spread, and very easy, low maintenance plant. Coming along here, I have a Texas lantana, and it's not doing a lot in terms of flowering, but also very drought hardy plant. And sometimes I feel like the blooms come in flushes with these. Down here I have a Greg's Mist flower, and I recently trimmed this back because it was pretty tall and leggy, but this is normally covered with blue purplish flowers that really attract queen butterflies, and so a lot of times you'll see those particular butterflies on this plant. This is a crossvine, and it is a Texas native that is evergreen. It is self-clinging, but you may notice I've got it secured to the wall with a wire trellis that's anchored to the wall itself. I've got that for about 6 feet up from the soil, but beyond that, it's all self-clinging. And so this has beautiful blossoms for about 2 to 4 weeks in April. Otherwise, in summertime, it doesn't really do a lot, but then again, in the fall, sometimes I'll get a small flush of flowers as well. And so another really great Texas native option. I have got a Texas sage, and these are famously called barometer bushes because just prior to or during or right after rain, they will flower. And so you can see that this is covered with flowers currently. And so we might be getting some rain. And this, not all barometer bushes or Texas sages are as reliable when it comes to predicting rain, but I have found that this one is. All right, so this is 2 days later, and you can see that my Texas sage is blooming. Let me see if I can get you a close-up of the flowers. Now, on the flip side of that, I've got another Texas sage here. This one is Green Cloud, and it has absolutely no buds, no flowers that I can appreciate. And I've noticed that about this particular shrub, not green clouds in general, but this one tends to be a little bit less reliable when it comes to predicting rain. But that San Antonio rose that I have in the front has been pretty spot on, and I think it's a plant specific thing, not necessarily a variety specific thing. Automating the drip irrigation in my vegetable garden has helped me stay on top of watering because life is busy and it's easy to forget. I had a digital timer, but the display broke, so when RainPoint sent me their Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled timer, I was thrilled. This is a 2-zone timer, meaning you can set up 2 different watering schedules and amounts via the app. You can do interval, manual, and you can even set a rain delay. The app itself has some really great features that I really enjoy. One is the weather data. This is so helpful to have integrated into the app so I can schedule my rain delays a little bit better. I haven't figured out if I'm able to switch from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but I really don't mind it. Another feature I enjoy is the event option, where I can see the irrigation history. This helps me ensure I know exactly when watering occurred and if I've missed some days due to rain delay. You can use this timer on a 2.4 gigahertz wireless network, and it comes with this hub that extends your Wi-Fi range, or you can connect the timer to your phone using Bluetooth. So here's my setup, and you can see I've got my timer attached to a hose splitter, and my hose splitter is attached to my water source, and my water source is actually a tap off of my irrigation system or sprinkler system. I've got several components after my timer, and if you're interested in how to set up a drip irrigation system or an automated drip irrigation system, I'll be sure to link a video at the end of this one that explains that process. It's pretty easy, and you can see here my system leads all the way out here to my raised garden bed. And I will tell you, I feel like once I got an automated system, it was a total game changer in terms of consistent fruit and vegetable yield, and first of all, just me not forgetting. So if possible, I would highly recommend considering an automated timer, and this one has got so many great features. It would be a great place to start. So a densely planted area like this can really help with water loss prevention because the plants provide root shade for each other. One of the things you'll have to keep in mind when planting an area this dense is you want to make sure you're grouping plants with similar water needs together, and preferably drought tolerant. One of my favorite drought tolerant natives is this Flamacanthus, and this is a hummingbird magnet. You can see those little tubular flowers. Hummingbirds really love this. Now my Flamacanthus is a little bit floppy. I've never quite seen it do this. And so it's kind of splayed at the bottom here. I wonder if it's because of all the rain we had, but it's doing fine otherwise. Another really nice Texas native here is this skeleton leaf goldeneye. And you can see it's got these little yellow daisy blossoms. This will really fill out a space. This, I think I planted this a few months ago in the spring, but it's already really getting well established, and I'm excited to see what it does in the next growing season. So here is my Turk's cap, and I actually had a couple of these in another area, but they didn't make it through winter, and I'm surprised, but this one did make it through winter. And this is a really cool Texas native because it can do well in full sun and full shade. Now it won't bloom for you as much in full shade, but it's very versatile that way. It gets pretty large though, about 4 to 6 feet in height and spread. So just something to keep in mind. Now, if you're wondering what this big silver tank next to my automated drip irrigation system is, this is my rain tank, and I would love to share more about it with you. So if you're interested in rainwater harvesting, please check out this next video. And until the next one, y'all take care.